Hello everybody. How are we all doing this fine evening? It is currently 5:25 on the 29th of July, and I hope we're all doing pretty damn well. So I wanted to do a little bit of a stream. Just a little bit of a streamy stream, because work stuff has been going on all day, and it's boring sometimes. So I thought I'd have a little bit of a talk about things that are more interesting, such as football and the fact that Leeds United's left back, or backup left back, but also winger sometimes, Isaac Schmidt is leaving the club, as we all are aware. Whether that's permanent or just on loan, we don't know yet. That'll be worked out roughly when we get a replacement in, I suppose. But we kind of need to do another player in his place, because otherwise we are going to be in big problems. Hold on. There we go. It's a weird thing, but sometimes I'm going to prefer to go to this one rather than the other face one, but I will explain that as we go. Yeah, I thought we'd have a little bit of a deep dive into the options for Leeds United at left back, and there are a good few of them. I've specifically picked out 2 or 3, because I think they are potentially the ones that are looking a little bit more on the likely side, but also this stream is going to be a sort of general nattery one, a little bit of a chat, a little bit of a fun time, a little bit of a vibe. So welcome on in, and if you haven't yet, pop a like on the stream, and if you fancy subscribing and you haven't yet, it's one button down here and it's really easy, and I'm seeing how high I can make that number before the end of the transfer window, so hop on board. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the options at left back, and also shout in the comments, the chat, that one, what your suggestions are for Leeds United's left back of choice. I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on this kind of thing, and for example, at the moment, my personal option would be, what's his name? I kept signing him on Football Manager and I've completely forgotten what his name is. Did he play for Real Madrid? For a little bit? Not for long, but just for a little bit. Maybe? I don't know, it's not coming to mind, but it's fine. So, for example, if I were to be currently all in on the train of Hugo Bueno, you just shout Hugo Bueno in the chat. That'd be a good time. And there we are. But Hugo Bueno is one of the people that I believe is worthy of covering off. Thank you for that one, Michael Isles. I'm gradually building a group of people that I'm going to look through as I'm going through all of this, because I think it'd be quite interesting to have as many people as possible, but also get them from the chat so you guys are talking about who we want to talk about, if that makes sense. But I'm going to start with Hugo Bueno, because I think Hugo Bueno has a... That's the bastard. Fran Garcia. Thank you, Scally. I appreciate that. Who I remember getting for significantly cheaper in previous Football Manager saves, but it's fine, we'll find out. Right, where are we? There are we. Cool. Nice. So, I'm going to start on Hugo Bueno. I think Hugo Bueno is one of the more targetable options, whereas if you are looking in the direction of Fran Garcia, things are going to get very expensive very fast because you're dealing with Real Madrid. I think Hugo Bueno is worth looking at. Let's put him down as a fullback. And the things that he does are genuinely quite good, because when it comes to a fullback in Daniel Farke's system, you want someone that is relatively attacking and is going to cause an issue and a threat to the other club. And that is the position that we can be in if we are to look at Hugo Bueno as an option. For example, he's in the top 24% of players for shot-creating actions, carries the ball really well, both into the final third and generally. His crossing is pretty damn spot on, with his crossing into the penalty area being a little bit better than his just standard crossing. In addition to that, he's not scared of a tackle, so 88% of the dribblers that run... Well, no, not quite. He tackles dribblers better than 88% of fullbacks. He wins more aerials than average, which is, again, something that we seem to be looking at a hell of a lot of the time. But his assists and expected assists are what really impress me here. Top 4% of assists per 90 when you are playing for Wolves is not something to be sniffed at. That is very good numbers. Same for expected assists. He's someone that will put the ball on a silver platter for a lot of people. John, on mentioning that it's a striker that we need under winger, I agree. Hence, I did a winger stream earlier today. So I'm going to be sort of wandering around from topic to topic in the occasional stream for a little bit of a while now, because if it's all just like, we need a winger, panic, we need a winger, things are going to get a little bit boring from time to time. So I'm just having a little bit of a wander into the other positions that we rather need. One of the concerns around Hugo Bueno is the fact that when he was at Wolves, he wasn't able to force his way into the first team necessarily. So he ended up going out to Feyenoord on loan last season, which isn't the best sign if you are looking for someone to provide a little bit of a threat to a first-team left-back, especially when that left-back is Gudmundsson, and we don't know how Gudmundsson plays yet. The worry around Gudmundsson for me is that whilst he is very clearly a decent left-back, we've not seen him play at a Premier League level yet, which could apply a little bit of a worry. If he doesn't turn out to be fantastic, we're going to need a very, very high-quality left-back to cover. And I think we can probably get that with Hugo Bueno if we are to... Well, we will be able to match the asking price. But if we're able to persuade him that he'll play enough football here. If we tell him effectively that you and Gudmundsson are going to be equals and you're fighting for a starting spot, then fantastic. If it's a case of you will be the number 2, then it'll be a little bit hard to deal with, because the reason he went to Feyenoord in the first place was the fact he wasn't getting any minutes with Wolves. Good evening, CB. Hope you're doing well. After Hugo Bueno, we've got a player that is in a very, very weird position at the moment. And I say he's in a very weird position at the moment rather than giving details, because I don't understand the details of this guy's situation. The specific guy in question being, if I can do the right thing, Tyrick Mitchell. Right. Tyrick Mitchell's a weird one. Last season he had over 3,000 minutes for Palace, which is a lot of football. It's a crazy amount of football. He missed one game, which is again nuts, and was a key part of the squad throughout the season. Yes, he didn't score, whatever. Decent number of assists with 5, better expected assists, so people just weren't finishing the chances he'd put on a plate. And then you've got the slight further issue of his contract, because on the, what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. Retained list that was put out by Crystal Palace. They said that they were keeping Tyrick Mitchell. However, as far as I'm aware, and I'm going to have to check on transfer marks just to make sure I'm right on this one. As far as I was last aware, his contract expired relatively recently. But he's still... I might have been lied to. Because according to Transfermarkt now, it's till 2027. So I think he's had an extension or something. I don't know. Why did I think he was out of contract? Okay. There we go. Right, okay. So previously it was incorrectly reported that his contract expired in 2025, but Palace have confirmed that the deal runs until 2027, which makes Mitchell a significantly more difficult move to get done, because Tyrick Mitchell has 2 years on his contract and is a key part of a club that is now going to be playing in Europe. That's a little bit of a problem, and I think we can therefore move on from the Tyrick Mitchell conversation, because we have all been bamboozled by various bits of shenanigans, which is a little bit of a shame, because he's very clearly a good player. His expected assists, his assists, fantastic stuff, decent in the tackle, strong at blocks, but if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Thank you for letting me know, Transfermarkt. Which moves us on to one of the more premium options on the list, which moves us on to Fran Garcia, who is a Real Madrid player. And you might notice that it says here, under 2025, he didn't have minutes played, any matches played, or minutes, or goals, or assists, or XG, or anything. There's a reason for this. And the reason for this is that Real Madrid were in the Club World Cup. FBref's most recent season for Real Madrid is down as the Club World Cup, which means that all of the data there is Club World Cup based. Therefore, we can gather from this, which might look like a little bit of empty data, which is fair enough because it is empty data, but there is something that you can learn from empty data, that he wasn't invited as part of their Club World Cup squad. Now, in terms of like limits on those squads, they were very loose. You could just bring a hell of a lot of players. Example, Chelsea. And you could sign players partway through. And the fact that he didn't see a single minute of Club World Cup football and presumably didn't even get taken to America tells me that Real Madrid just don't want him anymore. They want rid. And according to Capology, €100,000 a week, which is a lot of money. But it's a lot of money that I imagine will be significantly lower if you are at any club that isn't Real Madrid. Because the fun part about Real Madrid is they don't bother paying transfer fees 90% of the time. They see players that they want, they wait for their contracts to get down to 2 years, and they go, ooh, soon enough we might want to talk to you. And then the other player suddenly doesn't want to leave their club to another side for a fee because they want to go to Real Madrid at some point soon, which sucks for all of the other clubs, but it's clever for Real Madrid, and it means they've got more money to throw on wages like that of Fran Garcia. Fran Garcia, when it comes to on-the-pitch stuff, got a decent number of minutes. Let's have a quick scrolly look. In La Liga last season, so he started 24 games, 31 matches played in total, so he came off the bench 7 times, over 2,000 minutes. However, assist number, not fantastic. XG, probably should have scored, didn't, but at that point the numbers are too low to even particularly work it out. But I'm going to have a bit of a look at his more detailed scouting report to try and work out the thing with Fran Garcia, because there's clearly a player there, right? Pass completion, ridiculously good. That might be something to do with the fact that Real Madrid's ball retention is obscene. But at the same time, he's progressively carrying the ball. He's passing forwards quite a lot. He's someone that will get you up the pitch quite a bit. And my thinking around the fact that these numbers around assists and expected assists and shots total and all this kind of stuff are relatively low is the way that Real Madrid played last season. Because if you look at Real Madrid and the way that they've built their squad, it looks like it has been built by a chimpanzee with a big wooden stick, just whacking another wooden stick to try and hope it forms the right shape. Because, yeah, they've got a hell of a lot of good players, but they don't necessarily go into the roles that you need them to go in. So, specifically, if you look at their left wing, they've got Vinicius Jr., they've got Rodrigo, who sometimes plays there, mainly over on the right-hand side, but sometimes he'll pop up over there. They've got Mbappe, who prefers to play out on the left. And they've got Endrick, who prefers to play out on the left. If you look at all of those players, all of those being, I will be completely honest here, fairly greedy players that don't like other players getting opportunities. I phrased that quite badly. But they like to hold on to the ball themselves, create opportunities themselves, score goals themselves. If you have a look at all of that, you think, oh, okay, so Fran Garcia passes the ball up to the likes of Vinicius Jr., and he doesn't get the ball back. Because even if he's doing an overlap, that doesn't matter, because Vinicius Jr. has run immediately into the penalty box. He's smelled a player within 3 kilometres of him, and he's fallen over trying to get a penalty. That explains the relative lack of attacking output statistics, because let's be honest here, that attacking output isn't fantastic, but there is a pretty damn good reason for it. You'll fill in at left back. You will try to fill in at left back, and then JT will gently nudge you, and you'll end up going, oh no, I'm hurt. I have to go to the physio room now. Whatever will I do? And that's the situation that you end up in. That's what happened, right? Word for word, yeah? Maybe. But yeah, that's the Fran Garcia conversation. In terms of Fran Garcia, if we're able to sign him, he would be a hell of a signing. But it then becomes a question of, are we accidentally spending far too much on left backs? Because at the end of the day, he's not going to come and think, you know what, I'm going to be second choice at Leeds United after being 1.5 choice at Real Madrid. There's a chance he goes to a more competitive club right now, but I don't know. You could call me a name right now. Honestly, go for it. Yeah, you're thinking Javi Gracia, not Garcia. Tanganga, I don't think Tanganga is a shout at all, I will be honest. I think there is a pretty damn good reason that he is A, playing at Millwall, and B, not sold yet for that £1.2 million release clause. Because if a release clause is that low and he's good enough, he will have been claimed by someone. So I'm pretty damn sure there's going to be a reason that no one has considered signing Japhet Tanganga. On the Crystal Palace players thing, I'll have a look. In fact, I'll look at Transfermarkt's list of free agents and see what's going on. It's not a great list, I've got to be honest with you. So we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who some people will want, but I think is just the most injury-prone footballer around. Josh Brownhill, okay, we're still looking at fairly decent footballers. And then we get to what I'm going to call problematic corner. Thomas Partey, Kurt Zouma. No, you're alright, thanks. I think neither of those. Then Nelson Semedo, Lindelof, Callum Wilson. None of these are particularly Crystal Palace-y. In fact, is the detailed stats so I can see their last club? Aha! I can't sort by last club. Can I? I'll sort by last competition. Premier League. Give me a second. Cool. Reguilon, I suppose, could maybe be a shout. Soufal is one that has been a little bit discussed, but I am not super about Soufal. He could be okay, but he plays primarily out on the right-hand side because he's right-footed, and that means that he wouldn't necessarily suit Daniel Farke's liking of fullbacks go on the side that their feet work. But yeah, it's a little bit complex. Jamal Lewis is on that list as well, but I'm not super convinced. I think Brandon Williams might be back to being a free agent, which is quite interesting. Other left-backs, there's not much, to be honest with you. Josh Gilavogi, he's still a free agent. Never know. Tomiyasu is also there, but he primarily played as a right-back. Do you think we'll get a striker? I absolutely do. I think it would be incredibly silly if we didn't go to sign a striker at this point. And I think the fact that we've had conversations around potentially signing a striker do add to that, which is quite fun. Because I would like a striker. A striker would make me feel quite good. It's maybe a shout for Tagliafico. Because Tagliafico is currently... well, was a Lyon player, and his contract expired. So as a backup, I wouldn't mind Tagliafico. If only because he's got a really, really fun name. Beyond that, I'll be honest, the free market for left-backs is not fantastic. I think we're best looking for a fee. Be unpopular, but Charlie Taylor as a backup. I don't know. Let's have a look at his numbers. I know you can't rely on numbers all the time, but... yeah, the reason I would not be super tempted by Charlie Taylor is the fact that last season he got 3 starts in the Premier League. Signed a new deal with Lyon. Did he? Is Transfermarkt behind? Why are Lyon doing new deals? They've got no money. But yeah, he got 8 appearances in total last season, 3 starts, 356 minutes. I think if you are signing a backup left-back that might need to play a good few minutes, then what you don't want to be doing is signing a backup left-back from the club that finished very last in the Premier League last season and wasn't good enough to get minutes even then. That's ultimately a problem, which means that I wouldn't be super excited for that. I'm going to adjust that a little bit, Wayne, and I'm going to adjust that to say someone that's a little bit Stuart Dallasy that can do all sorts of jobs. Leif Davis is a maybe. Because the entire draw of Leif Davis, if I have a look at his numbers now, was that he is a ridiculously creative player, right? That's the reason that people would want to sign Leif Davis. And to be fair, ridiculously good for shot creating actions. Expected assists is really strong. His defensive stuff isn't good. And my worry this season... hold on. My worry this season is we'll have a lot of defending to do, and if we're in a position where Gudmundsson isn't fit, and say Bogle also isn't fit. No, sod it. We'll keep Bogle fit, actually. Your fullbacks then become Bogle on one side and Davis on the other. And whilst in terms of attacking, that is a delicious idea. I love that. You're going to have to defend a bit. And I think that's a dangerous position for us to put ourselves in. I wouldn't mind Leif Davis at all. I don't know if Leif Davis is potentially looking for a move or anything. And I wouldn't mind welcoming him home, because he's clearly a very, very good player. I think Jesse Marsch was stupid to not give him a few more minutes when he was here. But it's tricky, I think. Yeah, there's been little bits of conversation for people being like, yeah, maybe Leif Davis finds a move somewhere. But it's not looking super likely, I've got to be honest. Low market, I mentioned certain Jack Grealish at the end of the window after we've sold a few. The issue with Grealish is wages, and the issue with Grealish isn't just wages, it's... Whenever he's on a pitch, he doesn't look like the kind of player that Leeds fans would like. Everything that I've seen from... elbow. Everything I've seen of Jack Grealish on a football pitch has tended to be a case of go forward, couple of step overs, try to cut in, eventually pass backwards. And I don't think he's the sort of gritty winger that we tend to go for, which is sad and a little bit of a concern. But yeah, I think the loan market will have a lot for us. It's just finding out which of those loans is the better one. Also on the Grealish front, having a quick look at this, the fact that he underperformed in terms of XG and expected assists, which are effectively, can you pass into a dangerous area, yes or no, is really bad, considering he was in a side that creates chance on chance on chance on chance. That is really low expected assists for that. Pass completion rate, brilliant. That's because you've been in a side that just holds the ball all the time. The issue with Grealish is he's a tit. I mean, he's a little bit of a tit, but he feels like he could be an Alioski style tit, where he's sort of endearing. He's got a little bit of fun to him. There we go. There's the Alioski mention. In terms of the rest of everything he does, a lot of people will point out that he's quite good at carrying the ball and beating his man. Successful take-ons, he was in the bottom 26%. Sancho isn't absolutely the fuck not. No. Even if with Sancho you're thinking, okay, cool, he will be looking for a way to sort of work his way back into things. Also on this one, Sean, this is per 90. So he will have played a bit. He played 721 minutes, which is enough to get a reasonable looking sample size. But on the Sancho thing, he is the ultimate throwing the toys out of the pram player. And that's not what we need right now. I think the sort of no dickheads policy that we've tended to follow in the past couple of seasons will do us incredibly well. And if we're looking to do that, then I can be very, very happy. And we can be very, very happy, and we'll be heading in the right direction. But I'm feeling optimistic, is what I'm feeling. We'll get something done at left back. We'll get something done on the wing. We'll get something done at 9. It's just a question of when. It's just a question of who. It's a question of how expensive. And I feel like what we've learned from the 49ers so far in this window is that they're getting the right sort of business done at a reasonable pace. There was that week where everyone was just screaming and going, "We've not done enough business! Fuck! What now?" And that seems to have subsided a bit, since in a matter of days we have done Perry and Stack and Longstaff. We did a lot of good moves in a very short amount of time. Missed the start of this, was doing my own video for my own. Any people you think with Premier League experience? I don't know. The Sufel shout I personally don't feel great about, because he's more of a right back and he doesn't really fit the profile. I wouldn't say he's super Premier League experience, but I still don't hate the Hugo Bueno shout. Very genuinely, I think Hugo Bueno's got a lot of potential to him. I wouldn't pay a shitload. Haha, Joby said, I mean, I do all the time. Are you new here? Heard Rodrigo's grandmother's a Leeds fan, let me dream. I mean, maybe. You never know. Jack Harrison's mum isn't, but maybe Rodrigo's grandma is. So that's what counts. Anyway. God. Why can't we just be a normal football club from time to time? Like, why can't we just get, like Paixão getting done? It felt so certain. But we got a little bit hijacked. It's a shame. The profile we look at might also depend on what we promised the new lad. That's true. But I feel like what we've tended to do as a club is we've never been in a position where we're like, you will be the #1 starting player. Because if you do that, you're ruling yourself out from the actual better players. If someone is vastly better than the players around them, then they're going to start, and that doesn't matter whether they were brought in as a backup in the first place. Archie Gray, in the season that he was at Leeds, wasn't expected to be constantly starting at right back, but there we go. Because Jed Spence was here, and presumably Jed Spence was told, you'll get a good few minutes because we've not really got any other right back options, and then he wasn't good enough to get past Archie. And I think we've learned from that lesson and said, okay, we're not guaranteeing minutes for anyone. Whatever. Jack Grealish's granny is Irish, but you lot still robbed him like you robbed our potatoes. Counterpoint, his other 3 grandparents were English. So, are we doing the robbery, or did you try to do the robbery and you got caught in the process? Think it through, Sean. Simicast still at Liverpool with Kirkes and Robertson in front of him alone. Oh, I didn't want to say the Simicast word because of what happened previously. Oh, I'm going to do a poll. Who would you want as a new left back signing? Would it be... we'll go Hugo Bueno. We'll go Fran Garcia, who he won't come, honestly. Would it be Kostas Tsimikas? Or would it be Nico O'Reilly? And I kind of want to know what you guys are feeling on that one. If it is Simicast now, I am going to lose my head. Because remember when I was like, we definitely signed Simicast, and then we didn't sign Simicast. I wouldn't mind. Having Byram as backup is negligence. That's not what negligence means. Jesus Christ. Also, you said this last season, and we got promoted with 100 points. So it wasn't that negligent, was it? It turned out fine. Just like how you liking the stream will turn out fine. Thank you very much. Also subscribing. That's also very wonderful of you. I think the team as is now could maybe stay up, still need more signings, just saying. Yeah, I think we're 3 away from being properly confident, in my opinion. 3 more signings, and I'm very, very happy with how it's going. If we don't do 3 more signings, then it gets a little bit like, oh, it's a little bit spooky. But I think, as is, we're not in the worst of spots. Of the 3 clubs that came up, I think we're in one of the better positions. One second. Right, I also need to test something. So, I'm going to quickly boop a button, and if it sends something in the chat, I can be very happy. Oh! Oh! It works! Okay, cool. I've now got a button that says, like the stream and subscribe. It's free. Being a channel member isn't, but that'd be cool too. Nice. James Justin just link can play on both sides. James Justin is a weird one, right? So if I have a look at James Justin's numbers, he's one of those where I would be a little bit on the fence about signing him. Because from what I am able to tell, as a general rule, Leicester fans hated the guy last season. And at no point did Locks, as an example, think, you know what, this James Justin guy, he's quite good. Now, it seemed to be a fairly consistent, like, get him out, etc., 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 etc. Maybe there'd be a little bit of something if we're not relying on him. So in terms of the minutes that he got last season, he started, let's have a look, 34 of the 38 matches in the league, which is a hell of a lot for a player that I don't think is of the standard to start in the Premier League. But I think as backup, he's maybe not the worst. There are definitely worse options out there. I think, for example, Max Vober as a backup left back is probably not as good as James Justin, for example. That's just one example, but it's the one that I'm using. I think there's a lot of decisions to be made, though, going forwards, and I think we will make the right ones. One sec. Just need to check something very quickly. I don't know. Right, I'm lost. James Justin done his ACL twice. Unfortunately, he's excellent in the Championship, but finished in the Prem. I don't know about finished in the Prem. That feels a bit harsh. Because at the end of the day, he's not the oldest, and he is sort of in the profile of player that we're looking at right now. He's 27 years old, and all but one of the players that we have signed this season are 27 years old. Also, he's 16 days older than me, which helps. It makes me feel young again. Harrison Burrows as a backup. I don't know. Would he not prefer to stay and get minutes at Sheffield United? I think so. I think Sheffield United would be the choice for him. The contract expires next year as a backup. He's probably worth a bit of 5 to 6 million. Yeah, I mean, he's probably on the way out either way. And Leicester will probably need a bit of money because they are probably still FFP fucked in the kindest way possible to them. I don't know that for a fact. That's a complete stab in the dark, but it feels like the case. So I'm going to roll with it. Realistically, no one would want to come and be a backup unless it's an older player or a young player on loan. Yeah, I think young on loan is maybe a way of going about it. Then again, I can't really think of that many youth players that be looking for loans at the moment. Hold on. Oh, that's a fun list. 5 Premier League players who need a loan this summer. Thanks, Yahoo. Let's see what Yahoo think. Tyrick George. Where the hell does he play? Is he a winger? Chamiti, who I think is a forward. Oscar Bob, who I think is a midfielder. Chido Obi, who I think is a forward. And Mikey Moore, who's a midfielder. I don't know. I wish I looked as young as Joe B. Thank you. I am 27, so I would hope that I look relatively young. But I'll take it. Yay. High quality loans come with high level demands from the loaning club. That's true as well. They do tend to demand minutes for their players. Which, I mean, I understand on their half. But, you know what I mean. New away shirts waiting for me at home. Hell yeah. Ready to go start the season. What about almost 33-year-old Tagliafico? We discussed Tagliafico a bit earlier. I'll have a quick look. Tagliafico. No, he's been released by Lyon. No, wait. Never mind. According to Romano, he's renewed. Which is a shame. Because Tagliafico won't happen. Because he's Lyon. And I feel like we're not going to get that much more out of Lyon. Because Lyon are pretty fucking angry at us at the moment. Which I understand. But that doesn't make me particularly happy. There's a great record in managing minutes, though. Byram and Solomon come to mind. Yeah, I think when it comes to players that are like injured and recovering, I think he's good at dealing with the minutes issue. The issue mainly stems from when it's like a loaned player. Like Jed Spence did not deserve to be in that starting 11, therefore did not get into that starting 11. But we still lost him. And I think that's not really something that we can deal with. I thought we were at least 37. Ouch! That's devastating. For that, I won't be leaking my fun video idea. And if only Leeds bros are still in the chat, they know that the idea is fun. It's also ridiculously high effort and would maybe be like 2 filming days. I don't know for sure. Or just the one. God knows. But, well. Yeah, for that, I'm not going to leak the idea yet. So there. Right, I'm just going to have a very, very quick skim of the news to see if there's anything that I've missed before I bring the stream to a close in not too long a time. Managing injury records. Okay. Alright, that's rude, Mr. Yorkshire Monkey. It's only here because I'm lazy. There's a little bit of Elland Road expansion news, which I will be covering in a video in the morning, rather than right now. Hello, Ricky. You've timed that quite badly. I'm going to end the stream in a couple of minutes. I'm sorry. Anyway, right. That is the general gist around the left backs discussed, though. In essence, I think Hugo Bueno is the one that looks the most likely. The dream is Fran Garcia, and he can properly give Goodmanson a run for his money. Beyond that, Tyrick Mitchell isn't happening. Would you take Archie Brown? Maybe. But then again, I think he's starting in Serie A at the moment, so it might be quite hard to... No, is he still at Ghent? Surely he's not still at Ghent. Okay, that'd be a maybe. Because I think Archie Brown's very clearly a decent player. Yeah. We'll call Archie Brown a maybe. Josh Doig is starting in Serie A, so it will be impossible. Anyway, I'm going to leave the stream there because I got some food to cook. But thank you for coming along. It's massively appreciated. If you enjoyed the stream, please pop a like on it. That's always absolutely fantastic. Helps it get pushed out to more people, and it helps me potentially be able to do this more consistently and more often and all that kind of stuff. It says Fenerbahce. A bit weird. Okay. But yeah. Like, subscribe, become a channel member if you fancy. It's $2.99 a month, and you'll get stuff like my Elland Road news video early. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo, amigos.